Sunday showdown, when everything goes wrong for Tennessee. 6 brutal moments that defined the Titans' 41-20 collapse against Indianapolis. Nashville. Here's the harsh reality nobody wants to discuss. Sometimes you witness a football game that perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with a struggling franchise. Sunday's 41-20 defeat to Indianapolis at Nissan Stadium was exactly that kind of painful spectacle. Let's dissect the 6 most glaring issues that emerged from this train wreck. And trust me, some of these will make you question basic coaching decisions. The halftime disaster that had everyone scratching their heads. Look, I'm not here to completely tear apart the coaching staff or pile onto an already struggling 0-3 squad. That's not what you'll typically find on the official team coverage. However, sitting in that press box at the 50-yard line, I witnessed something so fundamentally broken that ignoring it would be journalistic malpractice. Picture this scenario. Your team trails 17-6, and you're staring down a manageable, long-range field goal opportunity before intermission. Sounds straightforward, right? Wrong. What unfolded instead was a masterclass in organizational chaos. The Titans appeared paralyzed by indecision, burning a timeout, then getting slapped with a delay of game penalty, before ultimately shanking the field goal attempt entirely. But here's where it gets absolutely brutal. Indianapolis immediately seized possession and marched downfield to nail their own three-pointer before the half ended. That sequence alone perfectly summarized why this franchise sits winless through 3 weeks. And this is the part most people miss. These aren't just isolated mistakes. They're symptomatic of deeper organizational issues that demand serious conversation. Cam Ward's roller coaster continues. But is he really the problem? Here's a controversial take that might ruffle some feathers. Titans quarterback Cam Ward remains the most compelling reason to tune into these games, despite what his stat sheet might suggest. The rookie signal caller is navigating the brutal learning curve that destroys most first-year quarterbacks, and Sunday showcased both his potential and his growing pains in stark detail. Ward's afternoon began disastrously when he floated an ill-advised pass directly into Indianapolis defensive backs' hands on the opening possession, a pick six that immediately put Tennessee behind the 8 ball. Throughout the contest, he struggled with accuracy on several throws and absorbed 4 more sacks, some of which he openly acknowledged were his responsibility. Yet here's what the box score doesn't capture. Ward's relentless competitive spirit and his ability to create something from nothing when everything around him crumbles. His final statistics, completing 23 of 38 attempts for 219 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception, tell only part of the story. The real narrative? This kid is fighting tooth and nail while his supporting cast continues to let him down week after week. After 3 games without a victory, you have to wonder, how much longer can Ward maintain this level of determination when the team infrastructure keeps failing him? What do you think? Is Ward the future, or are we watching another promising quarterback get ruined by poor organizational support? The day's only bright spot, Mike Keith's well-deserved recognition. Sometimes the most meaningful moments happen away from the actual game action, and Sunday's halftime ceremony proved exactly that point. Former Titans radio voice Mike Keith became the 19th individual inducted into the franchise's prestigious Ring of Honor, and the crowd's response was absolutely electric. The loudest cheers of the entire afternoon erupted when Keith, now calling games for the University of Tennessee, was presented by his longtime friend and former Titans wide receiver Kevin Dyson. Surrounded by family members and close friends, Keith delivered a heartfelt address that had many fans wiping away tears as he expressed gratitude for years of unwavering support from the Titans faithful. The overwhelming ovation made one thing crystal clear. Keith's connection with this fan base runs incredibly deep and will endure long after his broadcasting career ends. In a season filled with disappointment, moments like these remind us why we remain emotionally invested in this franchise. Defensive struggles. Are the Colts actually elite, or are we just that bad? Here's where things get controversial, and I want your honest opinion in the comments. After studying Indianapolis's impressive offensive numbers entering Sunday's matchup, I remain skeptical about their true capabilities. Could this Colts attack really be as dangerous as their statistics suggested? Watching them dismantle Tennessee in person left me with more questions than answers. Indianapolis quarterback Daniel Jones and running back Jonathan Taylor looked absolutely unstoppable, reminiscent of the legendary Peyton Manning-Edgerrin James combination that terrorized defenses for years. But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to address. Tennessee's defense offered virtually zero resistance. The pass rush was non-existent, secondary coverage featured glaring lapses, and tackling fundamentals completely broke down. Sure, the Titans managed to force Indianapolis into their first punt of the entire season, but celebrating that accomplishment feels hollow when the Colts found the end zone on 6 of their 8 total possessions. So here's the million-dollar question that's driving me crazy. Are we witnessing a genuinely elite Indianapolis offense? Or are these Titans so defensively challenged that they're making mediocre units look like world beaters? Sound off in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your take on this. Penalty problems persist. When will this madness end? The somewhat positive news, Tennessee's penalty yardage wasn't quite as catastrophic as the previous 2 weeks' disasters. The crushing reality, this team continues sabotaging itself with poorly timed infractions that kill momentum and extend opponent drives. Entering Sunday as the league's most penalized squad, the Titans collected 8 flags for 68 yards against Indianapolis. Cornerback L'Jarius Sneed contributed several infractions, but the penalty epidemic spread across all 3 phases. Offense, defense, and special teams each contributed to the mess. Making matters worse, officials declined 3 additional penalties, meaning the actual total could have been even more damaging. With 31 accepted penalties through just 3 games, this franchise keeps shooting itself in the foot at the worst possible moments. At what point does this become a coaching accountability issue rather than just individual player mistakes? Injury report, reality check. Depth issues expose franchise limitations. Let's address the elephant in the room that everyone's thinking but nobody wants to say out loud. This year's Titans roster was always going to struggle against quality opponents, even at full strength. This franchise is actively rebuilding, featuring significant talent gaps and virtually no meaningful depth at key positions. That doesn't automatically excuse poor performance, and it certainly doesn't justify looking as unprepared as they did Sunday. However, missing starters T'Vondre Sweat, J.C. Latham, Kevin Zeitler, and Jarvis Brownlee against Indianapolis exposed just how thin this roster really is. When your remaining starters failed to perform at acceptable levels, while key contributors sit on the sideline, you're facing a perfect storm of organizational deficiencies. Here's the brutal reality check. Unless significant improvements happen immediately, we're staring down the barrel of an historically long season. But here's my controversial question for you. Should fans lower their expectations and embrace the rebuild process? Or is it fair to demand better preparation and execution, regardless of talent limitations? Where do you draw the line between patience and accountability?